License and registration.
Sure. May I ask why I was stopped?
You look suspicious.
Suspicious how, officer?
This area doesn't get much traffic at night.
I live here 8 years. Am I being detained for a violation?
Step out of the vehicle.
I'm not resisting. I'd like to understand the
Step
reason.
out, now.
A silver Honda Accord drives down a quiet street. The driver is calm. He just finished a long day at work. Then blue lights flash behind him. License and registration, now. Sure, can I ask why I was stopped? You looked suspicious, that's why. Suspicious how? I was just driving home. The officer scoffs. Okay, sure, home in this neighborhood. I live here, officer. I've lived here for 8 years. Can you tell me the probable cause? You're being difficult. Step out of the car, now. I'm not resisting. I just want to understand why I was stopped. Out, or I'm dragging you out myself. Officer Jake Stevens had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 72 hours, his badge would be gone. His freedom would be stripped away. His entire career would become a mugshot. The quiet man in the Honda, he was David Chen, a federal prosecutor, the federal prosecutor who handles every single police misconduct case in the district. For 14 years, Chen had put corrupt officers behind bars. He knew civil rights law better than Stevens knew his own badge number. And here's the twist. Chen was driving home from prosecuting another officer for this exact behavior. Stevens' body camera captured everything. 38 years in federal prison. That's what happens when you pick the wrong target. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever been treated unfairly by someone in power? Drop your answer in the comments. But Officer Stevens had no idea who he was putting in handcuffs that night. David Chen was not just some guy driving through a nice neighborhood. He was a federal prosecutor. He worked in the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Attorney's Office. His job was simple. He put bad cops in prison. Chen graduated from Harvard Law School. He finished in the top 5% of his class. For 14 years, he built cases against police officers who broke the law. He won 47 cases against cops. His success rate was 94%. People in the legal world had a nickname for him. They called him the badge breaker. But here's what made this even more unreal. Chen wrote the training manual for his district. The manual that teaches officers how to do traffic stops legally. He was an expert witness in 12 federal trials about police abuse. Now here's what happened next. On this Tuesday evening, Chen was just trying to get home. He had worked 12 hours that day. He had just won a case against a sheriff's deputy. That deputy got 15 years for doing exactly what Stevens was about to do. Chen's briefcase sat in his backseat. Inside were case files on police abuse. The man Stevens was about to arrest knew more about his rights than Stevens knew about the law. Officer Jake Stevens had a reputation in his department. It was not a good one. Stevens was 34 years old. He had been a cop for 8 years. He was assigned to patrol Westbrook Heights. This was a rich neighborhood. Homes there cost over $1 million. Stevens had 14 complaints against him in 6 years. Every single complaint came from minority drivers. Not one of those complaints led to any punishment. 0. Let me tell you about some of those complaints. In 2019, Stevens pulled over a black doctor. He claimed the doctor had a broken taillight. The taillight was fine. Nothing happened to Stevens. In 2021, he stopped a Hispanic business owner. He held him on the side of the road for 45 minutes. No charges were filed. The complaint was marked unfounded. In 2022, Stevens pulled over a black real estate agent. She was showing houses to clients. Stevens said she didn't belong in the neighborhood. Again, nothing happened. His fellow officers had a name for him. They called him the gatekeeper. They knew what he was doing. They saw the pattern, but nobody stopped him. Type accountability in the comments if you think this should have been caught sooner. This pattern of behavior would have continued, but this time, Stevens picked the wrong driver. This time, the man he stopped knew exactly how to hold him responsible, and this time, there would be real consequences. It was Tuesday, March 14th. The time was 7:42 p.m. The sun was setting over Westbrook Heights. Golden light covered the quiet streets. Families were coming home from work. David Chen was driving his silver Honda Accord. He was going 32 miles per hour. The speed limit was 35. He was doing nothing wrong. Stevens sat in his patrol car. He was parked at his usual spot near the neighborhood entrance. This was where he watched for people who didn't belong. When Chen drove past, Stevens pulled out. He followed Chen for 3 blocks, then he turned on his lights. Chen saw the blue lights in his mirror. He pulled over right away. He put his hands on the steering wheel where the officer could see them. He knew the drill. He had watched hundreds of these videos in court. Stevens walked up to the car. His hand was on his gun. That's not normal for a routine stop. His body camera was recording. Department rules said it had to. Beyond. Chen stayed calm. He had no idea this officer was about to change both their lives forever. If stories like this matter to you, hit that subscribe button, because what happened next shows exactly why accountability matters. Stevens reached the window. His voice was harsh. License and registration, now. Chen moved slowly. He kept his hands visible. Here you go, officer. Can I ask why I was pulled over? You looked suspicious. Suspicious how? I was driving under the speed limit. Stevens ignored the question. He looked at the license, then he looked at Chen, then back at the license. You live in this neighborhood? Yes, sir, 8 years now. Stevens made a face. Okay, sure. That response told Chen everything. He knew what was happening. He had seen it in case after case, but he stayed calm. Officer, can you tell me the probable cause for this stop? Stevens' face got hard. Don't question me. I'm not questioning you. I'm asking about my rights. You're being difficult. I'm being calm, officer. I just want to know why I was stopped. Stevens had no good answer because there was no good answer. He had no reason. He just saw a black man in a nice neighborhood. Step out of the car. Am I being detained? You're about to be arrested for obstruction. I haven't obstructed anything. I'm sitting in my car. Out now. A neighbor walking her dog stopped to watch. Another car slowed down. The driver pulled out his phone and started recording. Stevens opened Chen's door. He grabbed his arm. He yanked him out of the car. He pushed Chen against the vehicle, hard. Chen did not resist. He did not fight. He knew his body would show no struggle on camera. He knew the evidence was building. Stevens put handcuffs on him, tight. You're under arrest for obstruction of justice. Chen stayed silent. He knew anything he said was being recorded. He knew exactly how this would end, just not for him. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew you were right, but the person with power didn't care? What Stevens didn't know was that cameras were everywhere. His body camera, a neighbor's Ring doorbell, the other driver's cell phone, Chen's own dashcam. 4 different angles caught everything. Stevens drove Chen to the station. He walked him inside like any other arrest. He was proud of himself. He bragged to other officers. Got a difficult one tonight. Wouldn't cooperate. Chen was fingerprinted. He was photographed. He said nothing. He waited. Then came the moment that changed everything. Desk Sergeant Maria Rodriguez was processing the paperwork. She looked at the name on the form, David Chen. She read it again. Her face went white. Stevens, come here, now. Stevens walked over. He was still smiling. What's up? Do you know who you just arrested? Some guy who wouldn't cooperate. Rodriguez stared at him. This is David Chen, the David Chen. Who? The federal prosecutor, Civil Rights Division. Stevens' smile disappeared. What? He handles every police misconduct case in this district. He put Officer Ramirez away last month, 15 years. Stevens stood frozen. The color drained from his face. So what? He said. He broke the law, I don't care who he is. But his voice was shaking now. He knew. In that moment he knew. Stevens, what was your probable cause? He had no answer. 20 minutes later, Captain Williams arrived. He had been called at home. He was not happy. He watched the body camera footage, all 11 minutes and 34 seconds of it. He watched Stevens pull over a man for no reason. He watched Stevens refuse to give any explanation. He watched Stevens arrest a calm, polite citizen for asking about his rights. Stevens, my office, now. The next few hours moved fast. Witnesses came forward. Marcus Thompson lived 3 houses down. I saw the whole thing. That man did nothing wrong. The officer was aggressive from the start. Jennifer Walsh was driving by. She had recorded everything on her phone. I have 6 minutes of video. The officer was completely out of line. Robert Kim had lived in the neighborhood for 20 years. Stevens has pulled over black drivers here before, many times. We've complained to the department. Nothing ever happened. By midnight, Chen was released. Captain Williams apologized personally. Chen looked at him and said, "The apology I need isn't personal, it's institutional." The captain had no response. Type justice in the comments if you think Chen handled this perfectly. By now, Stevens was starting to understand how badly he had messed up. He had arrested a man with no probable cause, no reasonable suspicion, nothing but racial bias. And that man was the federal prosecutor who put cops like him in prison. But wait, there's more to this story. The next morning, things moved fast. Stevens was placed on leave. He had to turn in his badge and gun. He would still get paid. That's standard procedure, but he knew his career was over. The U.S. Attorney's Office was notified that same night. Chen could not handle his own case. That would be a conflict of interest. So his colleague took over. Her name was Patricia Morales. She was just as good as Chen. The federal investigation started right away. They pulled all of Stevens' records, every traffic stop, every complaint, every report he ever filed. What they found was ugly. In the areas Stevens patrolled, 73% of his stops involved minority drivers. The neighborhood was only 12% minority. The numbers told the truth. 10 minutes later, investigators reviewed the body camera footage from Chen's arrest. They compared what Stevens claimed to what actually happened. Stevens claimed Chen was acting suspicious. The video showed Chen driving normally. Stevens claimed Chen was combative. The video showed Chen calm and polite the entire time. Stevens claimed Chen reached for something. The video showed Chen's hands on the steering wheel the whole time. Every claim Stevens made was a lie. The camera caught every single one. A grand jury was called. This is a group of citizens who decide if there's enough evidence for a trial. They reviewed everything: the body camera, the witness videos, the complaint history. 3 weeks later, they made their decision. They charged Stevens with multiple crimes: false arrest, filing a false police report, official misconduct, and the big one, deprivation of rights under color of law. That's the federal charge for officers who abuse their power. But it didn't stop there. 4 other victims came forward. 4 other people Stevens had stopped over the years. They had proof now. They had a pattern. Their cases were added to the charges. The department fired Stevens before the trial even started. The police chief made a public statement. "This behavior does not represent our department's values. If you believe bad cops should face real consequences, hit that subscribe button, because the consequences for Stevens were about to get very real." By 9 p.m. that night, Jennifer Walsh uploaded her cell phone video to social media. She wrote a simple caption: "Cop arrests federal prosecutor for driving while black." By 10 p.m., it had 50,000 views. By midnight, the department released the body camera footage. They had no choice. The pressure was too strong. By the next morning, the video had 2 million views. Every news station was covering it. The numbers kept climbing. On Twitter, The video got 4.2 million views. On TikTok, 8.7 million. On Facebook, people shared it 3.1 million times. The comments poured in. He pulled over a federal prosecutor for driving while black. You can't make this up. This is what we've been saying for years. Finally, it's on camera. Imagine how many people he did this to who couldn't fight back. 38 years, that's what accountability looks like. Every major news outlet covered the story. CNN, Fox News, ABC, CBS, NBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, everyone. The police department tried to do damage control. They held a press conference. This does not represent our values. They promised to review their training. They promised to change their policies. Stevens hired a lawyer. His attorney told him to stay quiet. He made no public statement. Someone in his family started a fundraiser for his legal fees. The website shut it down within hours. It broke their rules. 3 days later, the charges were made official. The nation watched as Officer Jake Stevens walked into federal court in handcuffs. Share this video if you think more people need to see what really happens during these traffic stops. The trial began 2 months later. The charges against Stevens were serious. Count 1, deprivation of rights under color of law. This is a federal crime. It means using your badge to violate someone's rights. Count 2, false arrest. Count 3, filing a false police report. Count 4, official misconduct. Counts 5 through 8, pattern charges for the 4 other victims who came forward. Stevens' lawyer tried everything. He argued Stevens had reasonable suspicion. The video destroyed that argument. He claimed Stevens was worried about officer safety. The video showed no threat. He said Stevens was following training. Chen's testimony destroyed that. Chen literally wrote the training manual. 4 other victims took the stand. They told their stories. Each one was the same. Stevens stopped them for no reason. He was aggressive. He threatened them. He made them feel like criminals for driving through their own neighborhoods. The jury watched the body camera footage 3 times. They heard from experts on racial profiling. They saw the pattern clearly. Then they made their decision. Guilty on every single count. The courtroom was silent. Stevens showed no emotion. Now here's the part everyone was waiting for, the sentence. The judge reviewed the federal guidelines. He considered the pattern of behavior. He added enhancement. Hence for abuse of authority. He looked at the harm caused to multiple victims. The final sentence, 38 years in federal prison. Let that sink in, 38 years. And in the federal system, there is no parole. He will serve every single day. But the punishment didn't stop there. Stevens was banned from ever working in law enforcement again. His name was added to a national list. Every police department in the country would know what he did. The victims filed civil lawsuits. They won. The total payout was $4.2 million. The city's insurance costs went up 340%. Here's the twist that makes this story even more powerful. Remember that case Chen won the day Stevens stopped him? That officer got 12 years for similar conduct. Stevens got more than triple that, because he should have known better. The evidence was everywhere. The pattern was clear. He just didn't think he would get caught. After the sentencing, David Chen stood on the courthouse steps. Cameras surrounded him. He spoke clearly. For 11 minutes, I was just another black man being profiled on the side of the road. He paused. I felt the same fear my father felt. The same fear his father felt. That badge on his chest didn't make me safe. It made me a target. Chen took a breath. I've prosecuted these cases for 14 years, but experiencing it is different. I knew my rights. I had resources. I could fight back. Most people can't. He looked into the cameras. That's why this system keeps going. Most victims don't have law degrees. They don't know they can push back. They can't afford lawyers. His message was clear. To every citizen, know your rights. Stay calm, document everything. your composure might save your case. To law enforcement, most officers serve with honor, but the ones who don't must face consequences. Your silence protects the bad ones. Chen thanked the witnesses who recorded the incident. He thanked the jury. He thanked his family. Then he said his final words. 38 years. That's what it cost Officer Stevens to learn that Black lives matter, that our rights matter, that our dignity matters. I wish he didn't need 38 years to learn that. Type respect in the comments if Chen's words moved you. This case revealed a bigger problem. Studies show Black drivers are 20% more likely to be pulled over. They are searched at double the rate of white drivers. Chen got justice because he had knowledge and resources. Most victims don't. Stevens had 14 complaints. None led to punishment. The system failed 14 times before someone could fight back. This isn't about hating police. It's about accountability. Good officers deserve a system that removes bad ones. So let me ask you, should police investigate themselves when complaints come in? Should body camera footage be released automatically? Should officers like Stevens be stopped after the first complaint instead of the 15th? Because if we don't fix the complaint system, if we don't demand transparency, if we don't hold officers accountable early, then we're just waiting for the next Stevens, the next traffic stop, the next victim who isn't a federal prosecutor. Comment below if you believe officers who violate civil rights should face federal charges, not just desk duty, not just internal review, real charges. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep exposing these cases. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for the people who can't fight for themselves. This isn't just about one racist cop or one traffic stop. It's about all of us. It's about whether your rights depend on the color of your skin. David Chen got justice, but justice shouldn't require a law degree. See you in the next one.